Welcome to the Morning Formation. This episode is powered by Act Now Education. Warriors fall in. It's time for formation. Today, we welcome back attorney Leo Fuentes. He's a Marine Corps veteran. In our last conversation, we learned about his journey as a Marine and his transition into law. But today, Leo is entering a new chapter, launching his own law firm in the personal injury space. We're going to talk about his vision, the challenges of building from scratch, and what sets his firm apart in a crowded market. Formation Nation, you're about to hear lessons in resilience, branding, and building something that leaves a mark. Leo, thank you for joining me on the Morning Formation today.
Thank you, KP, for having me again. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, that's the news. I launched my own firm, and here we are.
I am extremely proud of you, man, because I know I talk to a lot of people and they talk about starting their own business. And it's scary. It's scary because you're literally taking all the risks and you're pivoting. No one's telling you when to pivot. It's not like you have a boss now. Like you have to get
Right,
yourself up in the morning, right? And you have to get yourself ready to go.
right, yeah, yeah. It's literally you eat what you hunt kind of thing. Yeah. But you know, thankfully, it's going well, and I have a couple client stories to talk about when we get to that.
Yeah, man. In my opinion, you're a very big inspiration for a lot of people. You were enlisted in the Marines, and then once you got out, you put yourself through law school. And I think for a lot of lower enlisted people out there, they sometimes don't see themselves like achieving that high of a profession. So, in my opinion, you could be a great mentor for many folks out there that may be thinking about going that route and starting your own business, man. That's a whole new venture in itself. But before we get into your law firm, I want to ask you, how's your jujitsu training coming along?
Man, I've been gone for a little bit, but it's good to be back. I want to be more consistent, and I was there yesterday. And it was fun, it was fun. It was promotion day, and, sometimes when it's promotion day, some people go a little harder, and I'm like, "Relax, bro. We're not trying to injure each other here. We got jobs to go to tomorrow." But it was good. It was good. Um, still training, still trying to get better and taking it day by day. And I think the best thing, like a lot of people say, I'm sure you think the same, it's not about the promotions or the belts, it's about just learning, and that headspace you get into when you're there takes you away from the world and whatever's going on, at least for that hour or 2 hours that you're there.
I was thinking about it earlier this week. When you get promoted through the ranks of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, it's not just a mark on how good you are at doing that specific martial art, but it's also a mark on you becoming a mentor and you becoming someone who others look up to. Because I don't think it's a good idea to continue on, become a brown belt, become a black belt if you're not of good character. I think all around it should paint a picture of like this is someone, especially if you're an owner of a gym and you're promoting people, you need to make sure that you're promoting not just people who have skill but people who have the right character. So I hope you continue that journey, man, because I think a lot of others out there will be like, whoa, this guy is a lawyer, like, and he's a Marine veteran. That's badass.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I started in law school. At the time, my law school was offering a free membership to a gym downtown, and then that gym had two black belt instructors that had classes going on.
Hmm.
But it got to the point where, for me at least, I had to tell myself, all right, do I want to pass this class in law school, or do I want to go train? I was like, I gotta pass the class. So I kind of stopped going, and I just never got back to it. I got back into it until after law school, after I started working. But there is this law student at our gym, and he trains, he studies. I'm like, man, good for you. I'm always giving him props, like, good for you. I'm like, what are you gonna do now? He's like, I gotta go do this contract reading or whatever. I'm like, man, that's my hats off to you, because I just kind of said I gotta focus on school.
It's hard to get it in, man, sometimes. So what
Yeah.
inspired you to start your own personal injury practice, and let's talk about what sets you apart from the others in this industry.
Yeah. So I think so before I went to the private firm life, I was with the county of San Diego. And shout out to the public defender's office in San Diego, because thanks to them, all the mentors there. Speaking of mentorship, I was able to work with a lot of great attorneys, great trial attorneys, and learned from them, and they were always willing to teach and guide, and then there, I didn't know at the time, but I was essentially my own little law firm there because you have your caseload, you have your cases assigned to you, you have your clients, and then you essentially run your cases and make decisions on what motions to file, what research you need to do, and essentially you are in charge of those cases. And nobody really tells you anything. You don't really, as long as you do your job, you just kind of handle your cases. And then it didn't come to mind, or I didn't realize it until after the fact. Um, there's nothing wrong with the private firm. I just think for me, everybody's different, right? There's people that like to be at a private firm. They like to be associates, and that's fine. It's just something that for me, I realized. Wait a minute, like I just realized I was my own law firm when I used to work at my old job, and now I'm part of a law firm, but it's not my law firm. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different career choices, right? And for me, it was more like it's time to do it, right? It's just to be honest with you, it was a dream that just came to light. There's only been man like when I joined the Marine Corps, when I went to law school, when I left my first job to go to the private firm, and then now the same feeling, some people call it gut feeling. I just it's just overcoming, overwhelming feeling like I need to do this. I need to do this because if I don't, I'm gonna live in regret the rest of my life with what if?
Yeah.
What if I could, right? And I wanna take a moment to like you mentioned the military, whether you're Navy, Marine Corps, Army, any other branch. I wanna encourage everybody to just pursue their vision, their dreams, because I was there too. And then there's a lot of people that were scared to get out. They're like, man, I gotta get out. Like I gotta leave this a steady military paycheck. I already know what I'm doing. And, unfortunately, they don't tap into their full potential. And I seen it. I see it now, unfortunately. And, I'm always I'm an open book. Military members have reached out. Actually, this young Lance Corporal E3 from Camp Pendleton reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, sir," because he's still he's like, "Hey, sir," he called me Leo. It's good. It's all good. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a Lance Corporal, Camp Pendleton. I want to go to law school." But this guy, he already had everything set. And I was like, wow, like I I never even thought I was gonna be an attorney, but he already has this plan, saving his GI Bill for law school. So yeah, I mean that's the reason why I decided to essentially go for it, and I'd rather see what's gonna happen versus what if.
So many things that you mentioned, I identify with 1,000%. And I'll tell you this much, Leo, you're the type of person that accepts new challenges. You're not stagnant, and that is you've proven that over your resume and your career, going from the bottom to where you are right now. I mean, enlisting in the Marine Corps, I remember the last time we spoke, you just went in, like you just went to the Marine recruiter and you signed up and, um, and you talked about how proud your father was, of you graduating boot camp and going into the Marines. So you're not the type of character to just fall into formation. Like you're in front of the formation. You're in charge of the group and getting out of the military. I remember when I resigned my commission, I had other
Mhm.
officers walking up to me at that time and they were like, "Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" Like, "Oh my god, like you're going to be poor, you're going to be unemployed and you're going to."
The unknown,
And I,
yeah,
and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, "Well, I I'm getting out because I believe in myself. Like I'm going to figure this out. I'm not
that's
here
right.
for a paycheck." And, I did my time, I did my deployment, and it's just time for me to move on. That was my plan from the beginning. And I tell people all the time, like, the military is not bad as long as you manage your career. And what I mean by that is what you just talked about with that Lance Corporal. Properly managing your career for transition is what you gotta do from the beginning when you first get there. And that I can completely identify with everything that you're talking about. And those are some great pieces of advice for people out there who are listening who may be going into the Marines or may know someone that's going into the military in general, for them to actually think about. but how do you think your Marine Corps background, your training, your experience, and everything has shaped the way that you have approached starting this new business?
I think one of the first things that they ingrain in you in boot camp is, attack the hill. The challenge. Go for the challenge. Fear is one of the things that they kinda, ingrain in you to put to the side. It doesn't mean it's not existent, it just means, um, you do it anyways, right? It's kinda like that saying that says, "Courage doesn't mean you're not scared or there's no fear." It just means you have the will to go despite that. And I think that that's what has been driving my life decisions since I joined the Marine Corps and then I left. And then, I'm just so grateful that it's all worked out. And, I'm able to provide whatever I can knowledge to other people. Like there's veterans that have reached out to that's like, hey, I've always wanted to be a lawyer, man. It's like, you can, you can still go. Like, you still have your jab bill? Like, and one of them took me up on it too. Is all like, yeah, so this is my plan. I want to do this. I want to do that. I was like, okay, cool. Just look into that school. And yeah, just I think I'm grateful that everything has worked out so far, but also that I'm able to provide any sort of guidance or mentorship, like you mentioned, to um, former military, active duty, and even non-military law students or just undergrad students.
You mentioned fear. When you launched your new business, what doubts or fears, or if any, came up for you, and how do you think you pushed through them?
I think the most common concern and or fear for anyone who's going on their own is, oh my God, where are the cases going to come from? Right? How am I going to get clients? Um, you know what? The cases will come. The cases are coming, and it's people told me that. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting me because I also had a lot of people that were encouraging me to essentially make the move for a while now. They've always told me like, "Hey, Leo, like what are you doing?" And like you are the type that can do your own thing. Like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I don't know. Excuses, basically. To be honest,
Right.
it was just me. Like, oh well, I gotta wait for this, or I'm gonna wait for that. But I'm just. It came to the point where I think it's just vanish. The fear was more like I'm gonna embrace it, embrace the grind, and let's go. Let's go, let's do it. And yeah, that's the main concern that everybody has, and it's true. Uh,
Yeah.
the the second, third day that I started um, the firm, I got client calls, and the cases came. The cases are coming. So little by little, day by day, like with anything, just stay positive, and then just they're gonna come. What they told me, the other attorneys that have their own practice too, is true. They're like, don't even worry about it. The cases are gonna come, man. And I'm like, man, they were right.
Yeah.
So
I really think fearlessness starts at an early age. I don't know if you can think back to a time, maybe in your teen years, where you were joining the football team or the wrestling team and you've never done it before in your life, but you did it and you stepped into that dark room for the first time and it wasn't that bad. It worked out. I think that
mm,
for a lot of people coming up through the ranks in their teen years and whatnot, being fearless almost becomes kind of a thing that you embrace, a thing that you become comfortable with over time. And would you agree with that? Do you think that was part of your upbringing?
yeah, I think as being the oldest out of four boys, my poor mom, no girls, but my brother gave her a granddaughter, so I guess that's okay. But so I'm the oldest out of the four boys, and I had to essentially take on the first of everything. The
Oh
first
yeah.
of joining the Marine Corps, the first of going to college. And yeah, I think little by little, like little small accomplishments, whether it was the first to join the soccer team, right? The first to join the military or go to college. I think um, the way I like to explain to some people that I ask, like, "Oh, how hard is law school?" I tell them, "Look, it's like a stamina thing. If you think about it," I tell them because for me, I went to community college, which is where I met the Marine Corps recruiter, And I tell them, look, think of it this way. High school, you start preparing to go to college, whether it's community or undergrad. And then I went to community college. That prepped me to go to the undergrad university. That prepped me to take on graduate school. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to go do. I knew I wanted to do graduate school. So,
Right.
yeah, I think it, little by little, like you're saying, it tends to it just go away, or you should learn to adapt and do it
Right.
anyways.
Yeah, yeah, it becomes like second nature for you, and it becomes one of those things that you don't mind doing after a time because a failure is there's such a thing called failing forward, and trying new things out, and that's how we achieve. Leo, I want to ask
Yeah.
you overall, talking about some of your clients and stuff. Why do you think it's so critical for injured people to have an advocate on their side?
Well, I think it's very important to have somebody that's on your side, because a lot of people think that um, the insurance adjusters and the other side are on your team, right? Because you think, well, I'm paying them every month. They're looking out for my best interest, but it's all a numbers game. It sounds bad, but at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Because there's no way they can pay out all the claims for what they're worth, um, because then they won't have any money left, right? It's their business. So it's important to talk to an attorney before you give any written statements, if possible, or any recorded statements when the insurance adjusters calls you, or when anybody from the other side calls you. Sometimes the attorneys from the companies or the corporations sometimes want to get a statement from you. The investigators, like for like Walmart or Target or any other stores, sometimes they email the clients, and they tell them X, Y, and Z, and they've even sometimes said, "Hey, you want to go ahead and settle this claim for a couple $100?" And I seen the emails like, "Wow, like good thing you said no, you didn't reply, right?" But it's super crucial. Recently, there was a case. They came to me. Good, good. I guess policy, you can say. It was a good,
Mhm.
but they made a mistake of not talking to an attorney before they resolved their case, and they resolved it for a little under a grand. When I saw the video of the dash cam and I saw what happened, and now the injuries that they have and they haven't treated, I'm like, man, I wish you would have come to me before. Essentially, they signed a settlement agreement, and they there's no remedy anymore. They signed it. They can't really argue that they didn't know, because they were advised and they were told, And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's super important, especially the injuries that you don't realize are severe, or you don't really feel it sometimes because of the adrenaline, right? You don't feel it a
Right.
couple days later, a month later,
Right.
and yeah, it's super crucial. And then you never know what's going on in your back or in your brain. Like some people
Right.
have concussions, so it's always good to get connected with an attorney that's going to connect you to the appropriate treatment providers, so that you can get the best result out of your case, and just more than anything, your health. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to be in pain or hurt. And that's one thing I say. I think you agree too. Like, there's no price on health. It's like when I tell the jurors, right, in jury trials, like, we can't put a price on health. We can't put a price on Mr. So and so's back, or Mrs. So and so's neck, or whatever the injury is, right?
Right.
But the law allows us to at least try our best, right? But nobody wants to be injured. Like, you couldn't offer me any amount of money. I'd rather be able to go to sleep and be healthy,
Yeah.
right? And work.
Yeah, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. I've known people before that have tried to buy real estate on their own and they don't know a whole lot about real estate. They go in without a real estate agent, and they end up getting burned. That the house has a lot of issues with it. Um, it's the same thing with veterans too, man. Like when you get out of the military, a lot of veterans don't want to put in any type of like service connection at all.
Mhm.
The pride, resiliency, the suck it up and drive on
Yeah,
kinda sets in, and like you mentioned, man, like, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy with those injuries too, so having an advocate on your side, I can see where that would be of immense importance for someone to take on. What are some
yeah.
of the What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen people make after an accident? Things like not documenting injuries, delaying
Nice.
treatment, or talking to insurance adjusters alone, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest mistakes, talking to them with an attorney, settling without getting the appropriate medical care or treatment, um, saying, I'm fine, everything's going to be fine, right? Um, that's in not just car accidents, but also whether you fall at the store or something happens at work where you get injured because of somebody else's fault. Um, and that's the main mistake. They don't lawyer up, right? The word is lawyer up, and it applies in other areas of law. It also applies in the personal injury area.
Yeah, it totally does. As far as making sure you have that representation. What do you think is your number one piece of advice for someone who's just been injured in an accident and doesn't really know what to do?
Seek medical treatment, document it because the other side loves to hold on to that. Like, well, if you were really hurt, you should have gone to the doctor, or you didn't go to the doctor. Sometimes I think it's a little hilarious because like you waited a whole week to go see a doctor. It's like people have things going on, they have lives going on. Like it's not
Right.
that they didn't want to, right? Ideally, you want to go the same day or the next day, right? But there are there are situations, there are explanations as to why. But yeah, um, try not to delay the medical treatment or the seen by a doctor so they can diagnose what your injuries are uh, on paper and document it. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that I would say. Earlier we were talking about fear, right? How it goes away after you do a
Yeah.
couple of things.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I just thought about how for us and my colleagues that practice law, whether it's criminal defense, employment law, personal injury, when you get to trial, um, we like to say if you're not a little bit scared or still feel that adrenaline, or however you wanna describe it, then that means you need to find another job because in essence, that kinda also drives you to do your best and prep the case, prep the witnesses, and basically do a good job for your client, and, yeah, I mean, it's interesting how fear can work in your favor in a way,
Yeah.
but also, it can stop people from doing what they wanna do too, or what the vision they have for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I mentioned, you can be your own worst enemy. I've known people before that have just slipped, fell, busted their back, and they get up and they go back to work only to find out years later they have a major issue going on in there, and now it's too late. They've moved on to a new employer, or they've whatever the situation is, they can no longer go and get the the help that they need, and they're just
Yeah.
having to deal with it on their own, man. And it's and talking about just your overall law firm
Mhm.
and your core mission of the law firm is what I want to talk about. How do you
Yeah.
want to be known in the personal injury space?
I think, in general, as an attorney, I want to be known as someone who obviously you can trust, who's going to fight for you, and step into the arena, as I call it. I call the courtroom, the jury trial, the arena. And I step into the arena and let the people decide. The 12 people from the community are going to decide what the verdict is, right? Um, I know earlier you said what sets Fuentes Law APC apart. I think a good way to answer that is just sharing what my clients' feedback to me, right? Recently, there was a lady who reached out to me. She had a bigger case with another law firm, and she had another case. She reached out a new case, and she's like, "Hey, like I was recommended to you by so and so, and cases come." Remember? So I was like, "Oh, cool. I haven't talked to that person in a while, but thank you." Right? So she's I talked to her, walked her through A through Z as far as what to expect, what my goal is gonna be, and how everything goes, right? And she was just so thankful. She was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I got the other firm didn't even talk to me. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not really happy with them, right? And I'm not gonna really like. I'm the type of person that just hear them out, right? I'm never gonna be talking bad about any other attorney or any other law firm because why, right? There's cases for everybody. Like, do your thing, right? But I'm focusing on me. So I told her, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. but for this case, like, I wanna make sure you know everything." She comes back a couple of days later, and she's like, "Hey, I do wanna retain you, but I was wondering, if you can take my other case too." So it's very common for, clients to just like they have the right to, hire different attorneys, the attorney can also terminate the attorney-client relationship for whatever reason reasonable, right? You can't just be saying, "You annoyed me today. I don't wanna be your attorney," right? So,
Mhm.
that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to basically leave the other firm, which is a big firm out of LA, and then come to me and said, "'Cause I want you to handle both my cases." And I think that speaks for me and the law firm I'm building, the Fuentes Law APC. And I told her, "I'll be happy to, but my goal is always your best interest. I want you to get the best outcome. I need you to go back and ask the law firm these questions." So I told her what questions to ask. And I told her, "Because the last thing I want is for you to bring your cases with you to my firm, and then you not only have to pay my fee." So for personal injury cases, it's contingency. So until, like, the commercials, if we don't win, you don't pay, right? It's basically contingency fee. So I told her the last thing I want is you having to pay the contingency fee for my firm, and then you have to owe them money. And she's like, "What do you mean I owe them money?" It's like, "Well, there's this thing called an attorney lien, which means the other firm is gonna likely say, 'Well, hey, guess what? We worked on your case for I don't know however months. We've done this, that, and this. So now you owe us this amount.'" So she was like, "I didn't even know that that was a thing." I was like, "It's a thing." And I'm like, and usually firms exercise those liens, right? It's not common for a firm not to. Sometimes you know the other firm and you're cool and you talk about it like, "Yeah, it's fine. We just pay us our costs," right? But, I think that I had a feeling, when she asked them, they said, "Yeah, like, we would exercise the attorney lien." So she
Mhm.
came back, again, called me back. She's like, "Leo, like, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I think I'm gonna stay put. You're right." So by the end of the cases by the time the cases is over, I'm not gonna have a lot left for me. Like, and, like, I totally get it. She's like, "But I'll keep you in mind. Thank you so much. You were great." So I think that's what sets me and my firm apart. And then also, that takes me back to an army veteran client I had. Uh, this was when I was with the county. It was my first case where there was a decedent, and the family actually paid a private attorney at the time. All paid. Told my client at the time, "Hey, we already paid this attorney. He's a private attorney. Tell your attorney that's appointed by the court that you're gonna go with him." Well, the rapport I have built with him, not just because of being a veterans, right? Just me talking to him, taking the time and hearing him out. He essentially told the family, "No, I'm staying with Leo. I trust Leo. I I'm sorry, like, go get your money back. I'm not gonna change attorneys." And I was so, like, taken back, and I was super grateful that whatever it is that he liked about me, or whatever trust rapport we built, like, it was enough for him to say, "No, I'm staying put," with the free attorney, basically, appointed by the court, right, at the time. And most people, it's common for most people to retain attorneys when they're facing, certain issues, right?
Mhm.
And, yeah, long story short, we went to trial and got a great result, and then he just ended up paying, like, a $200 fine, right? And, the resilience, I think, in that case, actually, I was going up against 3 opposing counsels, the senior one and then the other 2 that were not as experienced. So it kinda went, like, down like, kinda the chain of command in the military.
Yeah.
It was like the gunny, the staff sergeant, and the sergeant, uh, who coming together to, go against me and my client. So, we, uh we went at it, and the jury saw it our way, and he was super thankful, and we stayed in touch. Every once in a while, we check in like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because, being an Army combat, veteran, he was a medic. So you can imagine all the things he saw during the time of war, and he obviously has, PTSD and other issues that he has to, live with and, adapt. He still has a job. He's doing good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think those are the things that set me and my law firm apart,
I
our clients say it for us, right? My clients say it for us.
I think just on the interviews that we've had and the conversations we have, you have a very good demeanor about yourself. You have characteristics of leadership. You have also characteristics of fearlessness, obviously from your time from you talked about in the last interview how you lived in gang territory growing up. You were recruited to join a gang when you were a kid. You said no, and then you finished up school, decided to go into the Marines on your own, and now here you are today in your law firm. And I think sometimes you can't throw money at somebody who just inherently has the right characteristics to be a
Yeah.
champion.
Well, thank you for that, KP. I totally agree with you. One of the things that conversations I have with my colleagues that super close friends that are also the type of attorneys that just go all out and step into the arena for their clients. We like to say you either have it or you don't. Why do we say that? Because when it comes to trial, um, you see people get up there and try to say verbatim lines of other attorneys that have worked. It's worked for them, but I can't I'm not going to stand there and repeat Johnny Cochran's sentences because it worked for him
Right.
or whatever attorney, right, that's doing great and he's super whoever the attorney is that's super successful and whatever works for him, he has his style, his thing. But also when you're in front of the jury, you can see who freezes up, you can see who has that flow or that it factor, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just thankful that again, just based on the mentors I had coming up, attorneys and other people I can brainstorm with, I think we come up with the best solution. And when I get in there, I try to be myself. Also, that's I just try to be
Yeah.
myself, and then sometimes you gotta lock it up or you gotta be super serious when the right moment is. But I think it works. I mean, sometimes you even have to go against, judges, right? Not to come across as mean or anything, but sometimes you just have to put your foot down as attorneys, and you can't be scared, or intimidated, right? You just gotta find a way to kinda maneuver, right? Maneuver around
Yeah.
it. Like one time this judge, he admitted a lot of bad evidence for the case, and, I think I mentioned it not on purpose, but then the other attorney was like, "Objection." And then it was sustained, which means you can't talk about it, right? Like, shut your
Mhm.
mouth, basically. So then I was like, okay. But I was like, there's a reason why they don't want me to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave that up to you. And then that
I
was the
mean,
way that you kind of like, right? It gets him
that's
thinking,
old.
right? Yeah.
That's old, man.
No, but I mean, at the time, because you get in the moment and you're like, you get passionate, right? You get passionate, but you
Right.
got to walk a thin line. You can't just be professional or disrespectful, which I've seen too, actually. I was watching a trial in LA and I couldn't believe what was going on with one of the attorneys. I was all like, man, I was like, I was like, I'm not gonna be the one that does it because I don't know him, but somebody needs to talk to that guy and tell him like, hey man, you can't be yelling at the judge or talking to him like he's your brother or something or like your homie because he's not. You got to have some respect for the bench, for the
Right.
position, and just be tactful about it. So
What was the judge's response when you said that?
nah, nothing. It wasn't really a jab at him. It was just more to get the jury thinking.
I'd be taking
And
notes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They were just thinking, and they came back, and it was a favorable outcome for the client. And yeah, I mean, I was super grateful. And a lot of people ask me, "Do you know
I've
what's gonna
never
happen
it's funny because 'cause I've never heard that before. I've always
with
heard
the?"
sustain and then they just shut up, but no one's ever kind of counterpunched that with a
Yeah,
statement like
just
that.
yeah, and it just happened out. It's one of those things where like it
You're in
just
the moment?
happens. Yeah, you gotta adapt and overcome, like we say in the military, right?
Right.
But, those are the type of things, like, you can only learn to do or they come up just by reps. Get the reps in,
Right.
right? Kinda like jujitsu too, or anything, right? Like,
Mhm.
you get your trials and you get the courtroom experience, and you're able to see different situations happen, and then you know how to adapt, right? And that's another thing that sets, my law firm apart, like, we have 9 years of over 9 years of experience, right? I think it's more difficult, more challenging when you launch your firm straight out of law school. Not impossible, right? By no means I
Right.
want to discourage anybody. If you're a new attorney and you want to open your own law firm or are, good for you, and you're gonna do it. It's gonna work out. Yeah. Um, but for me, I think it helped me build myself first with the experience and just when it comes to the legal research and the courtroom experience itself. I think that really helped me
Yeah.
become the attorney that I am now.
Gives you an opportunity to put yourself in a public defender's shoes. It gives you an opportunity to put yourself in different positions and different roles. You were talking just a minute ago about um, managing sort of judges, making sure you're not inappropriate, but you're also pushing and challenging at the same time. And anytime I've been in leadership roles and I've had an upper and a lower, like where I've
Mhm,
got people I'm in charge of, and then I've got people that are in charge of me. I've always said 90% of that job is managing personalities. You gotta
mhm,
know what wags the tail on that dog. So
yeah,
if you get to know these judges, you probably know what they like to hear. You probably get to know their personality, their character. Some people, when they walk into a room, they command respect, and that's all they want is respect. Some are more like laid back. I mean, would you agree that that's kinda how it is in the arena?
yeah, yeah. You definitely when you're in front of a judge, you learn their style, their
Yeah.
demeanor. Um, some of them are more chipper than others. Others are more like down to business,
Right,
right? And then there's other
right.
judges that I've had where they said, "Counsel, go ahead and take a load off. Take your jackets off. Roll up your sleeves if you want. Let's talk about these motions in limine, which are the motions before a trial gets started, right? Basically, it's both sides requesting what they want to come into evidence, what they want to talk about. Then the judge decides yes or no, right? So in that situation, yeah, he came up and he was just super chill, like, "Hey, take a load up. Let's knock this out, right?" As gentlemen, basically. But
Yeah.
then there are other judges that are like, "No, like, that's not gonna fly with that judge," right? Other judges like to joke around also, believe it or not, one of the things that, people have told me, colleagues that, when I was with the county and, just in general, uh, they're like, "How is it that only you can get away with saying certain things?" And I'm like, "What
Y
do you mean?" It's like, "I would never be able to tell that to Judge so and so or, like, to, this prosecutor or opposing counsel." And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just me, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't really
Right.
think about it, right? It
Well,
just happens.
I think you've probably through your military experience and your upbringing, you probably have really honed the craft of reading the room, which is
Mm,
really important for a lot of people to understand. You walk into an environment, you need to read the room. Like who in here is the alpha, who is like not the alpha, who is expecting this, expecting that. And that's huge. I've known so many people over the years that have stepped on their own toes. Um,
mhm,
because they just don't know how to read the room. They don't understand that this is all about managing personalities, managing expectations. And it sounds like you've got that mastered just through your years of experience overall. And I'm drawing the line now. Leo the
mhm.
lion, the arena, and then you've got
Oh,
your logo, right?
oh yeah, my logo has a lion. Yeah. I actually
Did you
just
do that
got.
on purpose?
Yeah, yeah. I actually just got my cards. I don't know if you can see it on it. Let me see. I can try. So I just got these cards. I ordered them like a couple weeks ago. And let me see. I don't know if you can see it. Can
Yeah.
you see it a little
Yep.
bit?
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's
So
that?
it's a
What's that
lion.
represent?
The Lion and the Scales of Justice. The lion, my name, Leonel, my full name means lion, right?
Mhm.
And then people know me as Leo at work, outside of work. And then I'm not saying that I follow like religion, but my zodiac sign is Leo, and the animal for that zodiac sign, Leo, is the lion too. So those are the three reasons why I went with. I told myself I have to have a lion. Like, everybody has their own animal, like their own animal, their favorite animal, right? Like my buddy has a horse. He has a horse statue at his desk, right? But for me, I feel like I identify with a lion for those three reasons. My name is Lion, my zodiac sign's the lion, and then people know me as Leo, right? And I think when it's the right time, I take on that lion, I guess, approach when I need to get things done, whether it's for a client or just in life in general. And you step into the arena, like it's kind of like, you gotta let the lion roar, like type of
It's
thing.
like
But
reminds me of like Sparta, like gladiators and everything else, man. Like I see you someday doing a commercial where like you're saying step into the arena.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's how that came about. And then the scales is basically the law of it, right? And that's how
Right.
I came up with my logo, and I was just kind of like, I got to do it because why not? You know.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you really realize it or not, man, but you've come a long way. I mean, when our last conversation we talked about where you started and how you got to where you're at right now. I mean, you've literally had the heart of a lion to be where you're at. I think that a lot of people like yourself, I have another good friend of mine. She was um, enlisted in the army. She's from another country, enlisted in the army as just an E1. Didn't know what she was getting into, and today she's now a doctor of radiology, Dr. Nicole Donraj. And
Wow.
I love when people can see themselves further than the end of their street. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, with seeing how far they can go in their careers by looking over the horizon and seeing something greater than or bigger than themselves. And that's why I love doing the show, man. I love highlighting people like you
Mhm.
who came from almost nothing to making your own business now. And I really think that your brand is awesome, man. I think that freaking Leo the Lion step into the arena. You got the logo. I mean,
Thank
I
you,
see
Kenny.
big
Thank you.
I see big things for you, man. I do.
Yeah, one day at a time. And yeah, it's interesting you said that because sometimes you forget you
Yeah,
forget to think of it and just pause and just look around you and just be
right.
like, man, it's like that one saying that I've seen online and social media. It's something along the lines of you've dreamt about where you are now at some point and now you're here, so enjoy it, right? Enjoy it. But I think sometimes you move so fast that you forget, and I got to do a better job at pausing and just looking around and just being even more grateful, right? I'm already grateful for where I am now, but even more, I think gratitude is key, and it's gonna set the vibe, set the route to where you're headed.
You hit the nail on the head. Gratitude is key, man. And I've talked to people before, and people ask me like, "Well, why do you compare yourselves to others?" I don't compare myself to others, but what I do think is that we are all in a marathon together, and you have to look to your left and to your right and to
Mhm.
your front and have an idea who's behind you, because life is a marathon. And at the end of the day, if you don't know where you're at, your age, your career progression, if you're not keeping track of that in this marathon, then you're going to lose focus on what you're doing. And sometimes you can lose faith in yourself. And
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, and so that you hit the nail on the head with that one. And in the next year from now or 5 years from now, where do you see your law firm headed?
I think that definitely is going to grow. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to hire people, get help from people, and put together a team. Put together a team, and I'm excited because I've been around different styles of leaderships ever since I was 18. Right, since at 18, I was leading 30-something-year-olds. Right,
yeah.
and being an attorney, I've been exposed to different leadership styles, and take the good and the bad, and then I know what I wanna build. I know the type of, vibe I wanna build at my firm, and I wanna make sure everybody's happy, taken care of, because you take care of your people, they'll take care of you, right? And check in, I see, I don't I'm already thinking about it before even growing, as big as I see the firm growing, right? But I'm already thinking I'm gonna check with Joe. Hey Joe, how you doing today? What do you see? What do you see in the trenches, right? Because you're not in the trenches with them, right? In
Right.
whatever they're doing. So like, what do you see? What do you think? will make the process better or faster, right? And then, oh, hey, uh, Jose, or hey, Stacy, like, what do you see? What do you think? Like, what could make us better, right? What can make everything better? And rather than, all right, guys, we're doing it like this because I want it this way, right? Like, because I don't know everything. Nobody does. Nobody knows everything, and it's always good to put your heads together and come up with a plan to level up together.
Yeah.
So,
Starting this new venture, have you had any early adjustments or had to pivot as you've been setting up your own business?
I think that it's just different things happen day by day, right? There's the setup of the logistics of not taking clients, even though you could. For example, that lady that had the case, you wanted to bring it with me. Like, I had to pivot there because I could have taken her case, but I wouldn't be able. It wouldn't sit right with me. It wouldn't be good. Sit well. Like, my conscience would be like, no, like, that's just not how I do things. That's not how I want to run my business. That's not how the type of person I am or the type of attorney I want to be. So I just pivoted, even though I knew that there was a case, two cases actually, but I felt much better giving her my time, talking to her, and then she's happy, and then I wish her the best. So
Yeah.
and yeah, so far that's the main thing right now, and just setting setting up things like, you need this program, you need that program,
Right.
you need to pay for this membership, right? So, yeah, it's been a learning adventure, and it's been good.
In the Marines, when you were out training in the field, did you ever have fragos?
No, no, no. What
Fragos
what
is
what
like it's like a change in plan.
okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
like being in the military, we're used to that, right? We're told
yeah.
to go here, do this, do that, and then as you get there, they're like, "All right, we got a frago. We're gonna go somewhere else. We're gonna be over here now." Like
Mm.
change becomes something as common during some operations and some different types of training out there. Uh, Leading your law firm, comparing it to the Marines in the field. How does that compare? How does leading a law firm now compare to leading Marines in the field or managing cases as a trial attorney?
I think, it's definitely helped me because, you have or I have the experience of knowing what to do in order to make sure the entire unit or operation is running right. In the military, you have to make sure that the mission is completed, whatever the mission is, right? Whether it can be just getting your unit to do the training or get them qualified with the shotgun and the rifle and the pistol, right?
Mhm.
Logistics, you have to get everything together, plan everything out step by step to make sure nothing falls through. Same thing with the law firm, right? You got to make sure um, you get the case and you take the right cases. What I mean by that is, something that's going to be a good case, not just for you but for the client too, because I'm not the type of person that's just going to be taking whatever case just because, and let's see what happens, right? Like,
Right.
because it's a kind of like not a good use of your time. So, and then you got to see what the injuries are, what motions need to be filed, what needs to be um, litigated, right? Argued in court, if or a case may not need to go to court. It can be maybe resolved before a lawsuit's filed, right? These are the type of things that you have to keep in mind and kind of run through your to-do list, right, on a case. And that's helped me out to be organized and just, you know, take it on
Yeah.
and do the same thing.
I mean, I'm sure in your field you have such a spectrum of values, morals, and money in business.
Mm.
So, how does that how does that work for you when it comes to taking cases and just take right? You know that question
Yeah,
because always people always talk about the crooked lawyer, like you're talking about like
yeah.
what's that called? Breaking Bad.
Oh, it's,
Saul,
Better Call Saul. Yeah, yeah,
Better Call Saul, right? You
yeah,
see that in Hollywood.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
how would you say that you manage those three things? You got values, morals, and then you have the business side of it all.
yeah. For me, morals and doing the right thing, number one on the list. Doesn't matter whether it's
Yeah.
gonna pay X amount, because that's how I wanna run my practice. That's the type of attorney I wanna be and type of attorney in person I am. And if it means not taking the case or not getting any money out of it, then it's fine. But it's interesting you say that because coming from public service as an attorney to private law firm, and now that I'm getting clients to where I have to charge them, right, depending on the case, right?
Mhm.
Because even though personal injury is contingency fee, sometimes friends reach out, and if I can help them out, why wouldn't? Or a friend of a friend, right? Um, for example, right, uh, I've
You
had
helped me
somebody
out.
reach out. Oh, yeah, well,
Thank you for that.
anytime, yeah. Yeah, no worries, yeah, even if it's just talking to people and guiding them in the right direction and telling them what to expect and things like that, yeah. So it got to the point where, like, I felt bad for a little bit, like, charging money, but the way I balance that is I ask around what the market value is, right? So that person needed help with a criminal defense case, right?
Mhm.
So to me, it's like I can help and I have the experience to help. So why not, right? Why wouldn't I help a friend out, right? And it would be kind of a waste not to use that experience to help him out, right? So when it came down to the price on the retainer, I was like, I told my friend, like, man, I feel bad, but that's the market value. He's like, hey man, it's the market value. Like, welcome to the private world. Welcome to the business side of it. I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I still give him a discount, but I think it was difficult, like at first,
Mhm.
adapting coming from public service where you don't charge them anything to now coming to the private law life, and it's just part of it's just business, no hard feelings. But yeah, I always try to do the right thing. I'm never gonna take advantage or try to take advantage of anybody because why? You
Yeah.
do good things in life, good things will happen to you. But the opposite, I think, also, if you screw people over, it's gonna catch up to you.
You're right. You're right. You're totally right. And I think that's the one thing that military veterans struggle with is giving up too much volunteer time, um giving up too much and just doing things for God and country.
Hmm.
In the private world, in the civilian world, to be successful, you can't always do things for God and country. And I always tell people like, yeah, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it for
Hmm.
God and country
Yeah, yeah.
because it's the right thing to do for my family, my community, my neighbor. And it's the one thing that I think I've struggled with this podcast is trying to monetize,
Hmm.
um, because I do have to pay myself back for the expenses of what I've purchased to set this up and then all the
Hmm.
subscriptions that I have.
Right, right.
But I struggle with it because it's like I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking to people like you. Like I enjoy people that are just whole natured and just humbled. And but I I struggle with that as well because I always say God and country. It's not about me. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's
And
why I
thank you
wanted
for that, KP. Yeah, thank you so
listen.
much for that. I mean, yeah, for keeping this podcast. First of all, for starting it, creating it, and keeping it going. It's a lot. It's a good. You put a lot of good videos out there. Different people. I like the fact that you bring on different guests and they talk about
Yeah.
different things. Right, all the way from smashing people on the jujitsu mats to what they do right for a living. So.
Well, the podcast is just me. Like it's just me, my personality, my experiences. I've told some people I'm not interested. No, I
Mhm.
really thoroughly enjoy bringing people back that I think are just authentic and honest. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's an honor for me to sit back down here and talk to you again.
Yes.
I
Speaking
wanted
of, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
No, I was gonna say, I just thought of, when you were saying you do things for God and country. One of the questions you
Mhm,
asked me earlier was, where do I see my firm and what do I want, right, with it, right?
mhm,
One of the main things, to be honest with you, is I want to be able to grow enough for me to get involved with the community way more, give back way more, right? And just because it's the right thing to do, if I'm able to, why not, right? Like I would love to, at some point, be able to, um, donate scholarships for undergrad students or law students, right? I want to get to that point, to that level. I want to get to where I'm able to tell this breast cancer organization, hey, I got the podium fee or whatever, whatever it is. I want to give back and be able to give back. And it's interesting because, before I launched my firm, I would talk to people and then I would, hopefully they don't catch this, but it happened. Better way to say it is some people thought that I was able to write it off as a tax deduction, and then I had to tell 'em, like, "No, like, this is me, like,
Mm,
I work for a firm. I don't get to write off anything," you know?
yeah.
So, I think they're like, "Really?" They're like, "Oh, we thought you were on your own already," and that's another thing that I wanted to share is, like, it's interesting because a lot of people, already, would tell me, like, "Wait, you're not on your own?" I'm like, "No, I work for a firm," and they're like, "Oh, I thought you were." But, like, going back to you do it for to give back to the community, right? You
Hmm.
do it for yourself, or like you said, for God and country,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's why we do things sometimes, right?
Yeah, and you really got to find that middle marker somewhere of moderation where like you have to get paid, but then you provide value and you provide quality and
Mhm.
personal quality. And I'm sure that's the difference between hiring a gigantic law firm versus hiring a smaller law firm. You get that personal touch of like when you call, you're going to talk to Leo or you're going to talk to
Yeah, yeah.
Leo's assistant, right? You're not going to talk to some attorney of an attorney of an attorney, an intern that's gonna show up for you. I've heard people that have done that before. They've hired an attorney and then they expected the attorney to show up, but instead some new rookie intern shows up and they're like, "What the heck? I didn't hire this."
Yeah, I think it happens. Look, there's a lot of great law firms that are really, really big, in California and Texas, and I think it comes down to just the attorney that gets your case assigned, right? Just kinda like what prosecutor, what public defender would get your case assigned. I would hear it all the time, right? It's interesting because you would never think that somebody would complain about a prosecutor, right? But they do. They're like, "Oh, that they didn't get, like, what was supposed to happen, X, Y, and Z." Same thing, like, with a public defender, like, "I got a crappy public defender. They didn't do this, didn't do that for me." And then in the private world, in the PI firm law firms, I think it just depends also who you get as an attorney, right? Because there's a lot of law firms that are huge and have great associate attorneys, and they're like amazing. And some of them might be like, man, I need to learn how to do that, right? I need to learn how to do those type of cases. But you're right with me, like you talk to me, I'll walk you through the process and just try and see what I can do for you, and if I can help you, because I'm not gonna uh just sign you up or sign up the case when I know that there may not be a remedy, or there may not be a good resolution for you, right? I literally just told this to a client I have a meeting with this next coming week. I told him, okay, so from what I'm getting, you need X, Y, and Z, and that requires payment up front. Um, and it was a friend of a friend. Remember, I told you how I'm focusing on personal injury. That's my main practice. But if I can help, why not, right? So I told him, let me talk to my buddy, because I need to find out what exactly you need, and if I can help you, I will, because I'm not gonna take your money just to take your money. Like, why would I do that? So he's like, oh yeah, appreciate it, thanks. Anyways, called him back and told him, like, I can help you. And then we're gonna meet and talk more details about it. But yeah, you gotta be able to talk to the client at least a couple times. Um, I still hear it nowadays. People say, unfortunately, that they've never talked to an attorney, right? I really don't know who's doing it out there, but I've heard it too. Like, some clients say, like, I haven't talked to an attorney the entire time that my case started. So
Mm,
it's kind of like, in every profession, there's like in the military or professions, there's the great attorney, the great police officer, the great doctor, the great whatever profession, and then there's also kind of like the not so great, or like the bad apples, right? Like, I think that that's
mhm,
also, which I think is important to for people to look into who they're gonna hire, right? When you go
right.
talk to an attorney, and I remember when me and my dad went to talk to like 9 attorneys, because he had some court issue, nothing crazy. It's just he needed an attorney, right?
Mhm,
And we went to talk to 9 different ones, and it was the last one that we sat down, we talked to them, and you just feel their vibe. You feel who they are, what they're
right,
about, and the trust, you can just feel it, right? And
right.
that's what I aspire to always provide for whoever contacts me, whoever wants, me to help them on their case, right? And I want to make sure that I even tell them like, look, talk to different attorneys. I always recommend it because that way I tell them literally you get to feel out their vibe, talk to them, see who they are, what they're about, and then you decide. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand what you're saying because even doing this podcast, I get that too. I've had guests on before, and I don't know what it was. It was something about their vibe, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is not like someone that I'm gonna ask to come back on again, and this is probably a mistake." Um,
It's like it's not. This is not it. You know?
yeah, man, like, it's exactly, and it's important. It's important to resonate with people. It's important to read people. It's important for them to trust you, first of all, because like, their livelihood is in your hands, and that's huge for people to have that type of trust when they hire you on board to represent them, in
Yeah.
the arena, like, as you
Yeah.
like to say.
Yeah, yeah, and not all cases have to go to court, right? It's always I always tell clients if we can get the other side to take responsibility and actually provide a resolution or compensation that's fair and that's deserving of whatever injuries you have, or and if they don't want to take responsibility, then we have to proceed with the lawsuit, and then they still don't want to do it, then we have to go to court in front of a jury and let them decide. But that yeah, you're right. I mean, it reminds me too of a person I reached out and they literally said, "Yeah, I talked to other attorneys, but to be honest with you, like they're all sissies. Like, can you think you can help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I can help you." It's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know, I didn't I didn't like that." I was like, "All right, well, look." Let's do it. I'll help you out and let's go. And I think, like I said earlier, like what sets Leo Fuentes law apart, the clients and their feedback to me, and it's just that tells me, and it's very encouraging for me, like, that I'm doing the right thing by the clients, I'm doing the right thing, I'm on the right path. I'm not where I wanna be yet, but guess what? Day by day, day by
Yeah.
day.
Day by day, you're setting yourself apart just through your character, personality, values, morals, all that stuff, man. And I feel it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, even on this end of the mic and this end of the camera, man, I really think that you're gonna go extremely far. What do you think? What do you hope your legacy will be, both as an attorney and as a business owner in this space?
I wanna, like that saying goes, it's how you it's not what you do for people, it's how you make them feel, how they remember you, how you impact their life. I wanna be able to impact people, not just as not just my clients, but also people outside of that attorney client relationship. Just people in general continue to do good things and impact their life in a meaningful way. Whatever it is, right? The little things matter. The little things matter. Like you could see somebody and just offer them to pay for their breakfast, whatever. Whatever the case is. Like that's what I want my legacy to be. That's what I want to be known for. Um, Impacting people in a positive, meaningful way.
That's huge, man. I always tell people legacy to me is really important. I think I saw an interview not too long ago where a young lady was asking Mike Tyson about legacy, and he's like, "Legacy? Who gives a shit about legacy?" Blah blah blah. But that's Mike Tyson. Like, legacy is, to me, is really important. We don't know how long we have on this earth. Some people die very young. Some people live to a very old age.
Mhm.
To me, I don't know how much time I have left. But what I want to do is I want to leave a mark, a meaningful mark, to help our human race, to help our society, to help the future generations to come. And that's really what gets me up to do this podcast over and over again. It's not I don't make any money off of this. Not yet. I hope to. So I can pay myself back. But what gets me excited about it is the hope that maybe we can help tread the path for a better future. Because especially in our country, our society today, our world needs it more than ever.
100%.
Yeah. And
100%, yeah.
that's probably something you'll do at some point where you'll hire new attorneys and you'll be in charge of mentoring them and bringing them along in the process and kind of molding them into your template of character. Would you agree?
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great to get the opportunity to do that for sure. I'll we kinda, get a little, experienced that with the interns that we had when I worked for the county. You see them come in their first year, second year, third year law students, and you get to see them, you get to teach them, and it's great. I mean, like, going back to impacting people's lives in a meaningful way, right? One of my interns, he lives up in San Francisco somewhere. Anyways, he was asked, "Do you know any California attorneys that can help with this issue or whatever?" Right? And he thought of me right away. But even though he didn't say it, I think it's just the way that I treated him, what mentorship I provided, and the fact that I always treated him as my peer, not as below me or as my intern, right? Like I always talk to him, even when I introduce him to clients, like, "Hey, this is my colleague, so and so." And I think because of that, that's why immediately he's like, "Leo," right? Because imagine if I would have treated him the opposite,
Yeah.
like, like if he was like below me or
Like he
like
was
not
lesser than.
worthy. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
She's like, No, I don't know anybody. I know this guy, but I'm not gonna send him, right?"
Yeah.
And one of the things that reminds me, so I was just so grateful, and also like I appreciated the fact that there's um investigators that we work with closely on cases at my first law job. And when I left, we were at some gathering, and I was at a table with them, and they literally told me like, "Hey, like we want to say thank you because you were always chill. Like you always talked to us like other attorneys, they were so condescending and they would like yell at us and try to like talk down to us, and like you never did that." I'm like, "Oh well, like, oh thank you." But I mean, but also why would anybody do that? Like I was actually surprised that there was people like that talking to them like that or treating them that way, because if I would have known about it, I would have been like, "Hey man, like chill. Like why are you talking to them like that?" Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that goes back to the type of impact and legacy like we were talking about. Like I want to be known for somebody who never does that, does the opposite, right? Encourages and lifts people up and, just does that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way, a great foundation to start a business. I just want to finish up the podcast by asking some specific questions for you. Right now, like what's a book or a podcast or tool that you're leaning on right now that helps you grow this business?
Right now, so I'm listening to that older book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Hmm.
Again, I already read the book. I listened to the podcast or the audiobook, but also this book, I forget the author. I can look it up, but it's called You Could Just Do Things. And that book basically talks about um, entrepreneurship and people's stories of how they started, what steps they took, and to me, it's inspiring reading about that, and even the author himself. I want to look it up because I want to make sure I get it. But that author himself, he actually quit college. The expectation, is usually like
Go to
which
college.
another thing I believe in, yeah, like there's some great trade schools out there, like for
Yeah.
electricians,
Mhm.
and you don't have to go the conventional way, right?
No.
Let me see.
I actually had a conversation not too long ago with some coworkers, and um, with my daughters, I've told them I've told them like, hey, you don't have to go to college. I would rather
Mm,
you understand how money works. I would rather you understand how business works. Some of the best innovators of this country did not go to college. So
yeah,
I was told to go to college. I went to college. I've got two graduate degrees, MBA and MSA in organizational leadership, MBAs in project management.
let's go. Congratulations. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, that's not always the route. Like, trade schools are great too. I know guys that are just killing it and gals that are killing it doing either beautician stuff. They're doing stuff with like nails. They're running their own businesses, killing it. Electrical businesses out there because they understand how business works and they understand how money works, and that's more important than just checking the block. We
Yep.
got to get away from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, I found the book. So, yeah, so it is called You Can Just Do Things, and the author is Jay Yang, and it pretty much advocates to take initiative. and creating your own opportunities. And he tells stories that inspired him to essentially pave his own way to get to where he is. He actually shares his first move was he not cold called, but just sent a letter to this marketing company. And he was, I think, like 17 or like super young, and he landed it. And it was just one of
Right.
those things where he just did it, right? To see, let's see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? You know?
Right.
So yeah, so he goes through that book essentially tells stories and talks about taking initiative and creating opportunities for yourself and just kind of putting that fear to the side
Yeah.
when needed.
Stepping into that dark room fearlessly
Yeah.
and figuring
Mhm.
out
Yeah.
where's the light, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, Leo, as we wrap up the podcast, was there anything that I didn't mention that you'd like to cover?
No, just thank you so much for having me back, having the podcast, and thank you for everything you do for the community, the military, the jiu-jitsu community, and let's go without fear of success. It's what I in Spanish is sin miedo al éxito, without fear of success.
Let's do it, man. Do you have your website up yet?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's www.leofuenteslaw.com.
All right. We'll make sure you put that down in the show notes as well as the Instagram account that you have. I know that you're also on TikTok too. So I'll make sure I put
Yeah,
those down there as well and tag those. And it's always a privilege to have you back on the Morning Formation podcast. Today, you've shown us that launching a business isn't just about opening doors, it's about building a brand, creating trust, and standing up for people when they need it the most. The Formation Nation, if you've learned anything from this conversation, it's that the fight for justice isn't fair, but without the right advocate in your corner, you can never level the playing field for sure. Leo, I want to thank you for sharing your journey and your vision for this new chapter. We'll be watching and rooting for you and for your success. So thank you for the time today. I know you're an extremely busy professional.
thank you so much. And before I go, I want to offer, like I always do, anybody that wants to talk about how to get to law school, how to become an attorney, just anything, reach out, send me a message. I I've done it many times, so I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Great mentor right here. So make sure if you're going down that track or that career field, I mean, just even someone to talk to. I mean, Leo would be your guy. If you're a Marine currently serving right now, or you know a Marine that's currently serving right now, maybe it's a son or a daughter or anyone in the military in general. Um, Talking to folks like Leo is going to help you figure out which path, and it's going to clear the overall vision on where you're headed to. So, as always, Formation Nation, I want you to stay tuned, stay focused, and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out.